Welcome, Director Vanesh. We're happy you're here because now we have a quorum. Oh, well, I'm happy that the ferries got you here. Excellent. And so I will, having confirmed with Mr. Yates that we have a quorum, I will call the meeting to order. And now I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting today on the traditional unceded territory of the Lekwaltok people. The next item on the agenda is adoption of the public agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So, is there discussion on that? Seeing no discussion, I ask all in favor? Any opposed? Great, that's carried. Thank you. We do not have any petitions and delegations, so we will move to adoption of the previous meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there discussion on that? Seeing none, I will ask all in favor. Any opposed? Great, motion carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Director Colburn.
Oh, no, sorry, I see it on there now. Thank you. I thought there was something missing from, coming out from the deferral last time.
Okay, great. Okay, so no business arising from the minutes. We'll move to the chair's report. And I have a small report to share, which several months ago, the board had the good fortune to learn about the ethno-history of the Lekwaltok people. You may recall that. I found that sharing really informative and valuable. And during a meeting that I had with Chief Ronnie Chakite, I suggested that it would be super to create an opportunity to share some of the same information with Quadra Islanders. And he agreed, and I have been working with the Lekwaltok Treaty Society on an event at the Quadra Community Center, which is going to be January 17th, and which means I will be praying to the snow goddess to schedule her snow for other days and not thwart the event. And that is the total of my chair's report.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Great, motion carried. And now we will move on to staff reports. And the first item on that section of our agenda is a cultural awareness training update. Would somebody like to move receipt?
Move receipt.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And Azalee will speak to this. Great, thank you.
Good morning, directors. Azalee Millwood. We are just updating the name of the staff report. I must have made a typo there, is update to the First Nations Relations Committee on your agenda there. We did have a brief hiatus over the summer months, and during that time, I just wanted to let the directors know that based on your recommendations and your suggestions and collaborating with other staff and other organizations, there were quite a few events that I was able to attend over the summer months, and I will not spend too much time on them. I did attend the Northern Regional Games, as I brought to you in a staff report earlier, that we did see 300 participants there, as well as the Connected Coast was there with a kiosk, communicating some of the key events that they have and distributing some marketing items. Also, the Comox Valley, or the Comox Strathcona Waste Management was there. They set up organic disposal, recycling, and that was very effective. We hauled a lot of solid waste out of the community, and I did see Director Colburn there, very busy helping out. It was a collaborative event. I enjoyed it very much. We did make some amendments to the territorial acknowledgement based on recommendations from this board. So we now have the Tla'amin First Nation added to our overall territorial acknowledgement. We've had some learning lessons there. Also, the Kwika First Nation is added to the territorial acknowledgement as well. In addition, during the summer months, our directors went to the UKIT Summer Fest, Director Mawini and Director, pardon me? And somebody-
Davis.
Pardon me?
Davis.
Yes, Director Davis went, and so that included taking the,
Weren't you there too? I think so. Yeah, I thought so.
oh, and Director Lott. Oh, that's new to me. Excellent. So I'm very proud that you've done that and you're able to go into community and get down to the grassroots and enjoy UQuat days. So I just wanted to mention that and make a shout out to the directors for doing that. We also participated in Truth and Reconciliation Orange Shirt Day. During that time, we did a write-up on what Orange Shirt Day is and what it means to the overall community. Also, we did a little video blog that we put on our internal, what do you call that, internal drive? The intranet, pardon me, yes. So we did a blog on that where I spoke about my family's history of residential school. So that would be my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother. So it took a little bit to share that, but I'm glad I did. And I feel that it had a good response. And we also have some workshops that came up. We did go out to Zabalas for a Sacred Belonging workshop. So this is in the event of a flood or fire, how to restore those items. Some of the folks that were hosting the workshop were museum archivists, I would say. I might have their title wrong, but they were teaching how to restore items. We did the cultural awareness safety training. There is a staff report coming your way, directors, on when the next session is proposed for the directors. There's a staff report that we'll talk about where the staff were able to take that same training. And that will be all for now. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Azalee. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Discussion, I believe, is the term. Okay, well, I have a question, and that is around, because I did attend UQuat Days, and I read in your report that CSWM provided recycling services or support to the Indigenous Northern Games in Zabalas. And I was wondering if there would be a possibility of maybe discussing at the solid waste advisory committee or advisory committee about the potential of offering recycling support to other First Nations events such as UQuat Days. So I don't know if that could be direction to staff or if I should ask
Yeah,
someone for motion.
No, we can take that as directions to staff for sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Tom. We have a motion to receive on the floor. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. And now we will discuss number 2, the Cultural Awareness Training Supplement Report. We have a motion to receive?
So
receipt.
moved. Oh,
Second.
second.
Okay, somebody did that. Thank you. And Azalee, are you speaking to this one as well?
Yes, Director Mawini.
Thank you.
So successfully on October 27th, we had a First Nations Indigenous training group come in and offer training to the staff. It was well attended. I believe around 26 staff attended. It was from a group called the Indigenous Perspective Society. And we had it customized, so we did do an exercise on the DRIPA and UNDRIP, which is been something that has been active in the First Nation Relations Committee and the board. So we did get a little taste of that for some direction, and there were other items that were high-level Indigenous cultural awareness training. The staff participated quite well. I believe it was well received. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I look forward to directors having the same opportunity. All in favor of receipt? Is that what we did? Oh, no, we say discussion first. Director Colburn.
Thank you, and thank you for graciously allowing our staff to attend these events as well. I think it's really important when things are going on in the region that, it is well advertised, and I had really good feedback from the training from our staff at the municipal level. So thank you for that.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Director Colborne. Yes, I didn't mention that we did have staff from the other municipalities, for example, Zabalas, the city of Campbell River, as well as the Comox Regional District. We invited them, and some folks took some seats. But once again, I just wanted to mention to the directors that we do have a space slotted for the directors for March 22nd. So I just want to put a little bee in your bonnet that that's coming your way. Thank you.
Great. Any further discussion?
Then that invite is going to be for elected officials from the other member munis as well.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. Anything further? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. And the next item is the Community to Community Forum with the Strathcona Regional District and the Cayuga-Checkasset First Nation.
Move receipt.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Is there staff that wants to speak to this report? Azalee.
Yes, so just a little background here. We did apply for a grant from the Union of BC Municipalities to have a community-to-community forum with the Cayuga-Checkasset First Nation, and the whole objective of the grant and the scope of it is to build relations. Sometimes other items that can come out of those are memorandums of understanding and whatnot. The event was well attended by the directors. I thank you for that, as well as staff, and very well attended by the Cayuga-Checkasset First Nation. We were very honored to be welcomed into their territory, where they showed us many of their projects, some of their customs, their community, just very, very open. And we also were able to use their boardroom for a board meeting. There's many items that I can mention, but we have a pleasant surprise for you folks, which is a video that will be coming up. Yes, it was just well attended, so I'll let the video speak for itself. I do believe staff is going to warm it up, so thank you for that.
Okay. Exciting. It's going to play right now.
Oh, I was just going to mention our communications, Elaine Polfoff. Her office is right beside mine, and I could hear the drums for 2 days as she was working on the project. So I just wanted to say that video editing is time-consuming, and it's a skill that I'm very appreciative of our communications having.
Nice.
True. Let go.
Wow. That was awesome. Thank you to the staff for putting that together. Well, if I may ask a question, is that going to be shared publicly, or is that internally use only, or?
I can answer, we'll place it on the YouTube channel.
Oh, it's going to be on YouTube. Great. Thank you.
Well, we'll also talk to KCFN first, and then see how much they want it viewed, or, yeah, we'll feel that out, so.
Fair. I was wondering about that. Okay, so is there any further discussion on this item? Looks like no. So all in favor of receipt? Any opposed? Seeing none. Motion to receive carried. Thank you. And now we're moving on to correspondence. There are 3 items of correspondence. Julie Colburn.
I just have a question first. Do you want to accept number 1, A and B separately or together?
Whatever you like.
I'll remove receipt of correspondence item number 1, A and B.
You're removing receipt of them? Because you want to talk about them? Oh, you just don't want to receive them? I'm sort of confused.
Just receive 1A and 1B in one motion.
Both of the pieces.
Okay.
of Correspondence in one motion.
Second.
Got it. Okay. Great. Is there any discussion on that item? Staff thoughts? No? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Nope. Seeing none, motion to receive carried. Next item is the First Nations Forestry Agreement.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you.
The only comment on that might be that we have a presentation delegation today by Western Forest Products on that.
At the board table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. Okay, all in favor of receipt of this item? Thank you. Seeing everybody in favor, that motion is carried. The next item is the Quika First Nation Territorial Acknowledgement correspondence.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you. Anyone would like to say anything about this item? Go ahead.
We had some discussions about this earlier, and it was at the last meeting that we held in Cayukit. I believe Director Vinesh and Mawini made a motion for us to reach out to both the Quika and the Tla'amin Nation, or the vice versa, or just a Tla'amin, but they went hand in hand, and we've sent out letters to the nations letting them know that we have heard their words and have added them to our overall territorial acknowledgement. I'm still working on the rainbow-colored sheet, but that the directors know about. So it's a work in progress, and I think it's going successfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Esley. Any further comments on this
Yeah,
item?
I'd just like to comment, really appreciate the letters that were written. I thought they were really thoughtful and addressed their concerns in a way that had them feel heard. And, recognize that we're in a place of learning. So thank you for that.
Agree. All right. Don't see anybody else that wants to say anything, so I will ask if all is in favor. Seeing everybody unanimously in favor, motion is carried. And now we will move on to director's reports, which was from me. Motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there anybody that would like to discuss anything about this item? Oh, yes, Azalee.
I do believe that the reconciliation and UNDRIP came from your attendance at the UBCM. And I'm pleased to know that it is something that is on the radar of many organizations, including ours at the SRD. So thank you. I have skimmed over it and will read it more in depth, but there is some very relevant information on there. So thank you very much for that.
Great. Thank you. I had a question for staff on this item, because I know that our strategic priorities are going to be continuing. One of them is written so far in the draft document as continuing to build relationships with First Nations communities and providing opportunities to explore areas of shared focus. And there was a mention about pursuing UNDRIP and DRIPA within that, and I'm curious if it would be helpful for a resolution from this committee to explore the steps that the SRD could take to ensure that our organization is taking measures to implement the UN Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the Provincial Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act.
I would say, from my perspective, yes. I think it's always been the hope that that direction either would or wouldn't come from this committee, because as an organization, we don't really have direction on that. And so if there is some and it came from this committee, that would be helpful, or not,
Right.
one way or the other.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I don't get to make motions. Oh, but after receipt, somebody else could, if they wanted to. So all in favor of receipt? All in favor? Motion to receive is carried. Any subsequent thoughts from anybody?
I have a couple thoughts. I think one of the interesting things that came out of UBCM and is mentioned in your report is that part of the reconciliation process and part of the challenges of colonization has been that First Nations who have not signed treaties have not had a seat of the government. And that's been I think a challenge for Indigenous people and as sort of used as a leverage tool to force nations perhaps more quickly into the treaty process. So I was excited to see that the province is exploring the idea that First Nations without a treaty can still have a seat at the government table, and I know that would, I certainly welcome more Indigenous leadership at the SRD, and hope that moves forward. And I am willing to make a motion, asking for staff to explore what are the steps the SRD could take to start implementing the DRIPA and UNDRIP recommendations. After discussion.
Great. Okay. Do you need that written down again?
No, we haven't.
Oh, you have it recorded. Perfect. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none? Oh, Julie Colburn.
I'm just wondering if that's clear enough, if that's what staff needs in order to ensure that we are moving through the recommendations coming out of these documents.
I think it's a good start. So this will be a process and that can initiate it. And I think what would likely happen is this committee, we will likely go around and around with a few renditions of that you're comfortable with, and then forward that to the board for, the direction, if you will.
Can you explain what you mean by renditions of?
Well, we're going to bring back a report on, what that may look, following the motion, what that may look like. I anticipate there'll be some comments and questions and that we won't have answers to. We'll go back and we'll find out what implications that. So it would likely, I would anticipate, come to this committee a few times before it moved its way on, where the committee was comfortable with, this is the direction we're going and understands what that means. So then when it goes to the board, that this committee supports that because the rest of the members of the board won't have been, part of those conversations or the details. So if that needs to be supported at the board, it's going to come from this committee or committee members.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. That's helpful. Great. So I'm happy that, and I think that maybe this document that I included in my report, which came from the BC Indian Chiefs, might also be helpful in that research and that learning. Any further comments before we vote on Director Vanesh's motion? Or wait, Julie Colburn's motion. Who made the motion? Director. Okay. No further comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Thank you. Now we.
If I can
Yes.
just jump in, just a comment on Director Van Ash's comments about First Nations representation here. So yeah, if they're a treaty nation that's settled there, they can come and sit as a full voting member of the board, of which this regional district has one. We are only one of 2 of the 27 regional districts that have a voting nation, but we have extended as a non-voting participant to other nations over the years to encourage them to come participate as non-voting members. KCFN, for example, was on here for two years probably as a non-voting participant. So we do encourage, and as an ongoing process, to help get nations come represented on the board, even if they're not a treaty nation or haven't settled that treaty. The open invitation that we, I think, annually reach out and encourage them to participate.
Director Vanesh.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm clear on that. And, I think the idea of that, we're inviting First Nations to be a non-voting member, it sounds great, but it really is just that's an invitation that anybody has. Anybody can show up here and be a non-voting, can come watch a board meeting, which is kind of what that would be, I'm guessing, because there's no power.
They sit at the table, they participate in discussions. Just
Okay.
when it comes to vote,
They just
they
can't
don't
vote. Yeah. Okay. And I think the thing that was coming out of UBCM is that there is the provincial government is looking at the potential of having non-treaty nations be voting members at SRD board, and that's I think that's exciting news.
Director Colburn, did you have something you wanted to add?
That's one of the things that I was going to follow up on is the advocacy from this board for reform in for regional districts to be accepting whether they're a recognized treaty nation or not. I think that that nations make their own choices about how they're going to govern themselves, and I think that that there should be a welcoming with all of those. So I think that it does need to come from the province to change and to reform the act. So to allow for that.
Are you asking if we should be doing more to advocate for that?
I think UBCM was a good step, and I think that I trust that staff is keeping their eye out and watching, kind of what the province is going to do. I know there's been a lot of discussion through the Emergency Preparedness Act and those kinds of things. So I think there is a leveling of, and they can only do so much. So I trust that that's happening here, and I hope that we just keep that alive through this committee and through this board and at the next UBCM, and while we're talking to ministers and their staff.
Okay, thank you for that. I do have one question to Mr. Leach, and that is, you mentioned that we have an open invitation, and I'm curious, have we as a board or committee, when's the last time that we sent an invitation, like a written invitation to
I
the
don't think
nations?
this term we've done it, certainly in previous terms. And if somebody wanted to make an official motion again to welcome the nations within SRD, that whether they're treaty or non-treaty, if they want to participate as non-voting members, that certainly wouldn't hurt.
Okay. Thank you for that. Director Colburn.
Do we want to make that motion now, or should we put that through as a notice of motion? Just to give us some,
Oh, to think about the language.
like on the fly, I don't,
like that.
you know?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll put in a notice of motion that will concern invitations to nations within the SRD that we do business within and are recognized in our, yeah. Motion, a notice of motion.
Just to clarify, notice of motion means that I'm planning to make a future motion, is that, yeah?
At the next meeting, yeah. Right, that's
We'll clean that up
exciting.
and have it in the minutes.
Thank you.
Do we need to like receive all of those conversations, or are we good to move on to the next
We have the
item?
notice of motion, so it'll go on the next agenda.
Okay.
For consideration.
And do we have to vote on a notice of motion? No?
No.
Okay, great. Learning all the time. So now we are on the addendum items, and the first one would be the addition of the, we have to first vote on whether we would like to consider the addendum.
Motion to consider the addendum.
Second?
Thank you, and thank you. Okay, so now we could potentially have the addition of the Slamin Nation to the territorial acknowledgement. We have to vote on receipt of that now.
She's suggesting we vote on whether or not to receive the addendum.
Oh,
Whether
vote
to
on,
consider-
okay.
Consider them.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself. After we have agreed that we're going to consider the addendum items, we are now going to have a vote on whether that will happen. All in favor of considering the addendum items? Thank you. Motion carried. And now we will move on to addition of the Tla'amin Nation to the territorial acknowledgement.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this from anybody? Yes, go ahead.
Just adding on, I think this is great progress for the SRD, and as this is a nation that relates to electoral area B, I'm just really glad to see this moving forward in a good way.
Great, thank you. Doesn't look like there's anything further, so I'll ask if anybody would like, if all are in favor? Are there any opposed? Item is carried, and the next item is response to vandalism to the Clawitsis First Nations Naneguas Community Project.
I'll move receipt of addendum item 2A and B.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on these items?
I guess I just had a question on the timing here. I feel like this is a decision we made months ago, and I assume that maybe they've already dealt with, I don't know, we're just wondering on why this took so long.
I'll take a stab at it, and then Azalee can say, communications with nations can take some time. It's not as a result of that we didn't initiate it earlier. Responses based on what they have going on can be time-consuming.
Yep, go ahead, Leslie.
So there was something else, and I was able to just candidly call up Thomas Smith, and I said, "Oh, by the way, can I come see you? I need to talk to you about something." And he said, "Okay, I got some time this afternoon." I said, "Well, I'll come right now." And he said, "Okay, we'll come right now." So and that's what happened. So sometimes it's just seeing the whites of folks' eyes, and then we can get on. And then it happened shortly after that. They didn't know about it, and so it was just having a conversation. Do you want to accept this rather than just sending it and there's no context behind it? So I was able to have a conversation, and that was valuable because we had conversations about all sorts of other things aside from that. So it was just.
We did send the correspondence out to them, though, months ago about.
Oh, right, yeah. Pardon me.
Yeah, it does show that there was a letter sent in August, the beginning of August, and then a second letter in October. Okay, any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? Great. Motion carried unanimously. And that brings us to the end of the addendum items and the potential of termination.
Motion to terminate.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much, folks. That is the end